working with us in our Alt Ed program for the last couple of weeks, and her name is Leila Presenting, and she is a person who's going to show you about a very specific kind of gardening, and I hope open your eyes up to why gardens are so important. Okay, so without further ado, here's Leila.
Kids Growing City is a provider of edible gardening education for kids and training for their teachers. So we build school gardens and we train you how to grow your own food. Essentially, that's what we're trying to do. So we're changing the world one school garden at a time. Okay, so I want to thank, well, Chris just left us, but I want to thank Chris Williams and Mike Frankfurt and Milliken Mills High School and all of you participants, because we're going to go out there and we're going to make an awesome garden for you. And I'm going to explain what type of garden it is, and I hope you excuse my hands. I was just doing some gardening out there with soil, so I'm a little bit dirty. I'm not afraid of being dirty. I actually love it. So, a little bit of a story about where I come from and how did I end up doing this, okay? So I come from the Middle East, so can you flick? And when I was a child, 8 years of my childhood went through war. So I've seen wars. I come from Iran and we had 8 years of war with Iraq, which is a neighbor of us. So we fought each other, not a very pleasant. I have a bunch of not very pleasant memories from that period of my life, but I've been very, how can I say it? I haven't been poor, but I've seen poor kids, like in my public school, there were kids sitting right beside me that their parents didn't have any money to buy them food every day, so they were coming to school hungry. And I've seen people, you know, because we're in an area that lots of oil is there, so a lot of other countries come and lots of wars are happening, and they want to take the oil because we all know how oil is important these days for our lives. So the oil, and I've seen a lot of destruction to the environment as well, just to take the oil and just to, you know, so wars, poverty, and all of that. But don't worry, because this presentation is not going to be about that. This presentation is not going to be about those nights that my sister and I woke up in the middle of the dark in my parents' arms underneath the staircases because there was an alert and there were some planes coming to bombard our city. Or a little bit later than that, they would send rockets. So I remember waking up underneath the staircases, but because, well, they thought that's a safe place. Well, we really didn't know where's safe and where's not. Because if a rocket hits your house, who cares if you're under a staircase or in your bedroom? But, well, my parents thought it was safer to go there, right? And I remember the sound of the rockets sounding like this. And I actually remember them coming closer and closer and closer, and then ending up with a blast. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, thank God it wasn't me. And then immediately thinking, oh, who was that? Was that a family? Was that a friend? It was somebody sitting in this city anyway, living in this city anyway. So I'm not going to go through all of that. And I'm not going to go through, you know, those hungry other kids in my classroom. And this is not going to be a presentation about saving the bees, because the bees are in trouble, we know that, or the polar bears, none of that. So this presentation is going to be about hope. It's going to be about positivity. And it's going to be about your bright future. Okay? All right. So my husband and I came to Canada almost 15 years ago, and actually I went to school back home and I studied applied mathematics, and I became a computer programmer. So when I came to Canada, we both looked for jobs, and I started working in software development. And I almost worked for like almost 10 years in software development, right? Why did I not do right away what I'm doing today? Because when I came to Canada, with all the things that I've seen in my life, I thought that I'm alone in this world, and I have to take care of me, and don't worry about anybody else. Why? Because I am so small. I'm only one person, right? There's no way I can change the big problems we have in this world. I am so small. I'm so insignificant. There's no way I can fix anything, right? So that was the mentality that my husband and I came to Canada with. Okay. Until I heard about something called permaculture. So, by show of hands, who have heard that word before? Good, so I'm here to tell you about it. Alright, permaculture is from two words, permanent agriculture. So it's essentially a design process for building a sustainable, or even more than like beyond sustainable, regenerative way of living. And food is an essential part of all of that, okay? So, thank you. All right, so let's flip to the next slide. I don't think we have it. Wait for it. Ah, there you go. So, I'm not going to go through this. This is going to bore you. But essentially, very quickly, there's 3 ethics in permaculture, and then there's 12 principles. The ethics are earth care, people care, and fair share. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, that sounds like a fairy tale. With all the things that I've seen in my life, yeah, right? That's nice to hear, but how can we actually have that, right? And then I heard about all these principles, and they all started to actually make a lot of sense to me. So again, I'm not going to go through them, but like, save energy, and then produce no waste, and listen to nature. You know what permaculturists do, which is very important, they look at nature, they look at natural forests. Nobody maintains forests, nobody weeds it, nobody puts fertilizer, nobody does that. And it's an ecosystem that maintains itself. So what permaculturists do, they look at that system, they learn from it, and then they apply that into a food forest that can feed people, and it maintains itself. Okay? So you don't have to actually do a lot of hard work. You don't have to go to another country and take their oil, kill them and make a war and all of that, to bring the oil to use in your big tractors in your big farms, for example, right? So it made a lot of sense to me. So I thought that was interesting. So I thought I should go and find out more. And what I did is that I found a course, which is a condensed 13 days, almost 2 weeks course that makes you a permaculture designer. So I became a certified permaculture designer, and I started doing this in my own backyard. So let's flip. So this is actually not the before picture. It's kind of in the middle picture, but still it's like boring, right? Look at all that grass. And I have a pond, so that pond wasn't there at the beginning. So this was a complete grass, blah, boring type of backyard that we see almost in every home, right? And that grass, oh my goodness, I had to cut it, I have to mow it, I had to make sure that there's no weeds, because hey, my neighbors were like, oh, she has weeds, right? So I had to take care of it. Lots of time, lots of energy, for what? Something I can't even eat. It's green, sure, but there's lots of other things that are green. So I don't know why we're doing this grass thing, but anyway, that's a long story and we're not gonna get into that. So let's move. So this is the middle story. I started to put cardboard, sheet mulch. This is part of what we're doing today actually in your garden. So sheet mulch the whole grass. What happens is that all that grass dies underneath the cardboard, and so I'm not gonna go and work hard and tear up the grass, and then I don't know what to do with the turf, and it's gonna create so much trouble, right? So instead, I'm gonna cover it, and it's going to die, and it's going to give all its energy and nutrients to my soil, increasing the fertility of my soil. And then the cardboard eventually will dissolve into soil and give my soil some more carbon. So the grass will give it the nitrogen and all the different nutrients that are in the weeds and in the grass, and the cardboard eventually will give it carbon, which would be, so, and you know what? All that grass dying underneath is going to attract all those worms and all those microorganisms to my soil, which are to aerate my soil. So I have clay, really hard to work with soil. And after I did this, the next year, I put a shovel in it, and it was so loosened up, you can't believe it. Okay, so let's go to next. So, and I started to make some beautiful shades that I wanted it to look like this. So I designed it the way I liked it to look like. Let's go. And I don't know if you can see, but a lot of things are growing. This is last year, so this year I have a lot more, and this is all food. And a lot of it is perennial plants. You know what perennial plants are? The ones that I don't have to plant them every year. So I plant them once, and they keep coming back every year. So less work for me, right? So let's go to the next. And this is my front yard, so I put an arbor, and this is my grape going up. So let's flip. And I started to so easily, unbelievably easily, have food in my own backyard. So I planted an apple tree, these are elderberries, those are some edible flowers, and this basket that you see down to the right is like I was going to a friend's house and I didn't have a gift, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Last minute, I went to my garden and gathered a bunch of the herbs that I had, edible flowers and all that, made a beautiful basket, and then took it to her, and she loved it. And these are all edible herbs and edible flowers and vegetables. So let's flip over. And more, like my Brussels sprouts, my mint, and all the herbs. That one at the top right corner is called, it's a permaculture's herb garden. It's a spiral, herb spiral, we call it. Elderberries, tons, right? And seriously, I did not work very hard for this. I was a computer programmer, remember? I was working, and I have 2 kids, by the way. So, a full-time working mom of 2 kids, and my job had overtime, and I had a pager that would ring sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning and wake me up, so I didn't have time to spend on this. Yes, I planted them, and for my annual vegetables, I spread the seeds, in the middle of, running around with the kids and everything. I didn't really have time to even enjoy this. But the permaculture way worked so well that I had tons of food without putting in a lot of work. So let's flip to the next. And more, these are my berries and beans and potatoes, and let's flip more. And more. So I had these pictures, so I put them in. Yes, let's go. Those are my garlic and seeds. That's another thing. If you don't harvest everything, leave some of it so that it gives you seeds. That means the next year I don't even have to buy seeds. Well, maybe some seeds that I didn't grow before and I want to try something new, I buy those seeds. But the plants that I already had gives me seeds, and I just use those seeds for next year. So next, let's flip. Oh, and soil. Because all the soil that originally I had to buy and bring in to put on top of my cardboard, starting the next year, I actually had, this is only one of my compost bins. This is for winter time. You see how it's close to my patio door? So in the winter, because I don't want to give any of my fruit and veggies away to the city to take away, because that's resource, right? That's a lot of food to make soil out of. So I quickly open the door, and it's freezing cold, right? And I have access to that. I open it, put my garbage in, and I go in, right? So that's for that. I have 2 more compost bins in the back of my yard, so as soon as this in spring starts to warm up, and then it might start to smell. Well, compost bins really don't smell if you do them right, but anyway, I don't want the garbage to be right beside my door. I move that to the one at the back. If I don't have time, which I didn't have last year, and I don't move it, even that's going to be fine. Because if I do this right, I turn it fine, I put the green and brown material in the right amount, it's not going to smell even, right? It gives me really, like, turns all of my garbage into good soil, rich compost that I can put into my bed next year. So I don't even have to sow seeds, no more buying seeds, soil, compost, no more buying soil and compost. And the one at the top right corner is actually, I have a worm bin inside that turns some of my fruit and vegetables into that black gold. It's so good for your garden. And the worms are so easy to work with. You don't have to do anything, and they're going to sit there, you just give them food and they turn it into soil. It's amazing. And this plant down below to the right is called comfrey, and I use that to make fertilizer. So I have my compost, my seeds, my fertilizer, everything you need for next year. So I have to spend even less money next year. So let's flip. Oh, and my garden attracts beneficial insects so well. Can you see the bee? Yeah. I don't know if you can see them. And the spiders. Spiders are awesome for your garden because they eat the pests. So when your garden is biodiverse and it attracts, so I don't have any pictures of my birds, I have a bird feeder and all that. It attracts so many animals that it's going to actually take care of the pests in your garden as well. And if you have good soil, there's no disease. So it's like, seriously guys, this is a lot easier than you think it is. So let's flip to the next. Oh, and some pesky. So this is my bird feeder, and this squirrel found a way to eat off of it, upside down, hanging from the what's it called, the fence. And my husband called me one day and he's like, come. Remember you told me that your bird feeder is getting empty a lot quicker than you think because there aren't that many birds. Look what's happening. That's why your bird feeder is getting empty so quickly. And this smart little animal, like I looked at him upside down and doing so many tricks and putting his head into that hole because this is actually a squirrel proof type of bird feeder. So it's supposed to, because if he comes from below and he hangs on it, it's gonna close. And he can't actually get his or her hand on the food. But he did it in a way, upside down like that. And while he's holding on to the fence, he's putting his mouth into that hole, which is not closed yet, and right now, and it eats off of it. And I told my husband, you know what? Good for him. If that animal is so smart, it deserves the food that it's eating. So I'm having so much fun with this garden. Anyway, so let's flip. Okay, whatever you do in your life, make sure you know why you're doing it, because that is such an important part of it. These are my 2 kids, and me in the middle, and you can see them in the right-hand side over there, having tons of fun harvesting the potatoes from the bucket. And they are the reason I'm doing this. They are having so much fun, and they are learning so much from the garden. Essentially, when me and my husband came to Canada, our future kids were the main reason we came to Canada, because we didn't want them to grow in an environment with wars and poverty and all of those problems. We wanted them to have a better life. And when we came here, the first thing that I was thinking, after a while, them going to school, not learning any of this stuff, unfortunately, in school. They were going to private school at first, then I moved them to public school. Anywhere they went, they didn't learn this. And we started doing it in my backyard, and they started learning how to grow their own food. So if they grow up, and God forbid, we end up in a situation that they don't get a job or they get into financial situations, I'm sure they're going to have lots of trouble with finding shelter or anything like that. But food is not going to be a problem for them, because they know how easy it is to grow their own food, at least some of it. Yeah, I can't grow my own meat or dairy. Unfortunately, in Toronto, I can't have chickens, so no eggs for me either. But fruits and vegetables, pretty easy to do. I know not everybody has a backyard. By the way, this is not a huge backyard. It's a very normal size urban backyard. It's really not that big, and you can get, even in your balcony, if you grow stuff, you can get tons and tons of food. So my kids are healthier and happier with me having a garden there. So I started thinking, why not all the kids, right? If it's so easy to do this, why doesn't every kid have what my kids have? So one day I approached the school. Back then it was a private school. So I approached them and I said, can I run a program and teach your kids how to grow their food? And the lady at the counter, well, she knew me because I was a parent. Her eyes lit up so quickly. I'm like, I'm onto something. And she's like, that is such a wonderful idea. But we have no space. Like, that school doesn't have like land like your schools have over here. It's like a small school. It's all concrete and asphalt all around it. No garden space, no nothing. And I'm like, don't worry about it. We can do container planting. Like, we can do so much, right? On even concrete and asphalt. So we started the program. I think we can flip maybe. All right, so these are some of the pictures of some of my kids in my program. And you see those little containers? They're just 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot container. In the corner of their wall, it's south facing, so it gets lots of sun, but they really don't have a lot of growing space. And we had so much success with that. Let's flip. So again, these are some of the pictures. That's another one. It's a planter, as you can see, again, on asphalt. Let's flip. And my kids learned so much. We gathered so much seeds and so much food. Let's go again. And my programs are fun, so it's not just gardening. We talk about, that's a Garden Heroes session. So those are the animals and insects that come to actually help you with your garden. And that's Halloween week, so we made some masks and we talked about how good they are and how well they can perform in your garden and help you and all of that. So let's flip. And some more success. And you see down to the right is they had a kitchen, this school, and we took the food to the kitchen and they actually made something for the kids with. So let's flip. All right, so I started to actually go to many different schools for my program. I started to expand to more and more schools. And I started talking with the teachers and the principals and all of those guys and asking, why do we not have a garden, an edible garden, in every school? And they started to tell me that they don't know how to do it. Well, hey, we all grew, like my parents didn't teach me how to grow food. My grandparents didn't know how to grow food. We've been in an urban area. I grew up in apartment buildings all my life, right? Of course we don't know how to do this. We've been de-skilled. So to expect the teachers to know it and teach it is really too much to expect them. And the thing is that they have really, really busy schedules with the already full curriculum anyway. So they, especially if they don't have a curriculum for it, they don't know how to do it. They are afraid of things like, what am I going to do for summer maintenance? Because I'm not here. So there's so many different things. So, and I asked myself, why did I not have that many trouble with my school gardens? And I think the answer is because of permaculture. Because I know how to work with nature so that I don't have to work hard, okay? So I thought it's a good idea to put my knowledge and expertise throughout these years into an online course for teachers. So the D.C.P. School Gardening Formula is an online course that teachers can go and learn how to do this easily and without a lot of hassle. So D stands for design, C stands for curriculum, and P stands for planning. So it's design, curriculum, and planning, the three main important components of having a successful school garden. Anyway, oh, and by the way, so let's go back. That's the exciting part. I don't want to reveal it yet. This year, I am in 7 schools, so we're building 7 different school gardens, and I'm training 10 teachers on the job, and I have, I think, somewhere around 15 teachers on the online course. So that is, I'm so happy about that, because the more of your teachers know how to do this, the less they need me to come to your school and teach it. And I'm only one person, right? I can only go in spring to maybe 10 schools, and that's it, because there's only 5 days in a week, right? And I have a 10-week program for spring, and a 10-week program for fall, and I can only serve 10 schools. So the more teachers learn this from me, the better, so that we can actually put a school garden in every school. So now let's talk about what we're doing today. Are you excited? Yeah? Yeah. Are you excited? Yeah. That's better. Thank you. Okay, now let's go. So we're working, your garden will have 2 very important permaculture principles in it, okay? One of them, it's not a principle, it's actually techniques. So 2 permaculture techniques. One's called hugelkultur. Can you say that? Wow, that is fancy, right? Well, it's hard to pronounce, but it's actually very, very simple. The concept is you put wood and you cover the wood with soil. So it's easy as that, okay? And we're sheet mulching too, so we are actually covering this. Remember my garden with all the cardboard? So we're doing that, and we're putting wood on top of that, and then we're putting soil on top of that. And then the next one that we're doing, let's flip. So these are the benefits of hugelkultur. Let me see how much time we have. Do I go to that or not? Maybe quickly, okay? So they're very, very good because of all those reasons. But the main reason, which is very important for a school environment, is that during summertime, if there's nobody there to water the garden, we want less watering, right? Otherwise, our garden is going to completely dry up, and all the hard work that we put in it, and all the learning and all that, it'll be a disappointment if it dries up, right? And that's one of the main obstacles to school gardens, because teachers and principals think, what about summer? So what wood inside your soil does is that it actually, when it rains, it absorbs, just like a sponge, it absorbs all the moisture. And then when the soil around it starts to dry up, it starts to release that moisture to your soil, okay? So it's a very interesting way natural way of regulating the amount of water that your soil is going to have, because it's never going to be too much water, and it's never going to be too little water. Because when it rains, it absorbs the water, and when it's dry, it releases it. So a lot less watering. And it's also a long-term fertile. It creates a long-term fertility for your soil, because as that wood starts to decay, it gives its nutrients to your soil, okay? And many different things. It's raised because all the wood that you put there, so it's easier to work with. We all know why raised beds are easier to work with. And there's 3 ways. Okay, so sorry. Can you go to the next slide? That's what I'm talking about. So the slides were actually switched. So these are all the different benefits of school gardens, and they look something like this. It can go as raised as you see in the picture below, but we're not going to go that high. We're just going to be maybe this tall. And this is wood. And if you some other part of your garden, you tore it up, maybe you put it upside down, because we don't want that grass to grow. So we put that upside down, it's going to die and give more nutrients to our soil, and then we put soil on top of it. Okay? All right. Here's
Yes.
how much time do we have?
We have a minute and a half.
Oh, a minute and a half. Okay, so let's lift more. One more. And this is my friend's. I have a friend. Her name is Rita, and she's a teacher in D.C.P. And she made a hugelkultur bed, and she left for summer. Seriously, left because her mom actually got cancer. And although she had plans to come back to school and water it and take care of it, she just couldn't even think about it because she had to take care of her mom all throughout summertime. And when she got back, this is what she was faced with. So beautiful and lush, and she couldn't believe it. So she went around and she asked the caretaker of the school. They said they didn't water it. She thought after a whole summer of not watering it, it's a good idea to water it. So she went to the hose and the water was shut. So all throughout summer, even if somebody wanted to water the garden, they couldn't because the water was shut. She knows that some people from the community came and weeded a little bit, but that's about it, and harvested actually some of the food and took it and ate it, which to her was wonderful. But when it comes to watering, she really didn't water at all. So let's go to the next one. And this is the second technique that we're using, okay? Which is a keyhole garden. So there's a lot of benefits about keyhole gardens. It increases edge. I didn't talk about edge, don't worry about it. It increases productivity. It's the best bed to path ratio because you just have a little path in the middle and then you have access to all of your food and gardening all around you. And it looks pretty. It looks really nice when you're making these beds. And that's what we're doing out there. So we're going out there, we're sheet mulching the area, we're making the bed, we're making a hugelkultur in the bed, and we'll be done.
Perfect.
Sounds good? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Leila. That was a great presentation. I think we got a lot out of it. Now it's time to turn that into some action. So this is where you have to pay close attention to your